Before his grandfather died, this boy made a promise that would change his entire life. He had nothing, no money, no connections, no advantages. But that promise pushed him to do what most people never dare to try. In a small, quiet town where most people lived paycheck to paycheck, there was a boy named Ethan. He wasn't special, he wasn't rich, and no one expected great things from him. But he carried something heavy in his heart. A promise. 1. The man who raised him. Ethan grew up in a modest house with peeling paint and creaky floors. His parents worked long hours, barely making enough to keep the lights on. But there was one person who always seemed unshaken by hardship: his grandfather. His grandfather was a simple man. Rough hands, worn clothes, kind eyes. He never complained about life, even though life had never been kind to him. Every evening, Ethan would sit beside him on the old wooden porch, listening to stories about hard work, mistakes, and dreams that never quite came true. One night, when the air felt heavier than usual, his grandfather called him closer. 2. The promise. The old man was weak. His breathing was slow and shallow. Ethan didn't fully understand what was happening, but he felt fear crawling into his chest. His grandfather took his hand and said quietly, "Ethan, I won't be here much longer." The boy's eyes filled with tears. "I've lived my whole life working hard," the old man continued, "but I never escaped poverty. I don't want that life for you or for this family." Ethan swallowed. "I want you to promise me something," his grandfather said. "Promise me you'll become successful, rich enough to help your parents, your siblings, everyone." Ethan nodded, his voice trembling. "I promise," he said. "I'll make it. I'll help everyone." His grandfather smiled one last time. That night, Ethan lost his grandfather, but gained a purpose. 3. A boy with a heavy dream. After the funeral, life went on. But Ethan changed. While other kids played outside, he stayed inside reading old books about money, business, and success. Most of them were outdated, some even torn apart. But he read every page. People laughed at him. "Dreaming won't make you rich," they said. "People like us don't make it." But Ethan remembered the promise. Every time he felt tired, every time doubt crept in, he heard his grandfather's voice in his head. "Don't waste your life." 4. Failing before succeeding. As a teenager, Ethan tried everything. He sold snacks at school, fixed old phones, worked part-time jobs after classes. Most attempts failed. Sometimes he earned almost nothing. Sometimes he lost what little money he had. But every failure taught him something new. At night, when everyone slept, Ethan sat at his desk, planning, learning, writing ideas that might never work, but refusing to stop. He wasn't chasing luxury. He was chasing a promise. 5. The moment of doubt. There was a night when everything almost broke him. Bills were overdue. His parents were arguing quietly in the kitchen, trying not to let the kids hear. Ethan sat alone in his room, staring at his notebook full of failed ideas. For the first time, he whispered, "What if I can't do it?" Tears rolled down his face. Then he looked at an old photo on his desk, his grandfather smiling, arm around him. Ethan wiped his tears. "I didn't promise to try," he said quietly. "I promised to succeed." 6. The turning point. At 18, Ethan discovered something that changed everything. He learned a skill, one that didn't require money, connections, or a rich background. Just time, discipline, and patience. He practiced every single day. Weeks turned into months, months into years. Slowly, people began to notice his work. Small opportunities appeared, then bigger ones. The money was small at first, but for Ethan, it meant everything. For the first time, he paid one of the family's bills himself. He didn't tell anyone. He just smiled. 7. Keeping the promise years. Later, Ethan stood in a different house, not luxurious, but stable, safe, warm. His parents no longer worried about bills. His siblings had opportunities Ethan never had. Medical expenses were covered. Stress no longer ruled their lives. One evening, Ethan visited his grandfather's grave. He placed his hand on the stone and whispered, "I did it, just like I promised." The wind passed softly through the trees. Ethan smiled. 8. The message. Ethan didn't become rich overnight. He didn't win the lottery. He didn't get lucky. He stayed consistent when it was hard. He remembered his promise when it hurt, and he refused to give up when giving up felt easier. And that is why he succeeded. 9. For anyone listening. If you're listening to this story right now, know this. You don't need a perfect start. You don't need rich parents. You don't need luck. Sometimes all you need is one promise and the courage to keep it.